What's up, guys? So, today I bring one of my favorite things that I like to talk about, kind of, which is politics and the stuff that I see, retain, observe, understand, believe I understand, misunderstand, whatever. So, if you're interested in a political discussion, welcome to the topic. And if you're not interested in a political discussion, well, I'm still going to talk about it. And that is that throughout my school years, I couldn't help but notice something that now that I'm older, it just somehow struck my mind, and that is the specific terms and vocabulary that textbooks use. And that I wanted to ask you guys, especially you guys who are noticeably, significantly older than me, or not even so old, but just have experience that may go a little beyond what I currently possess, given my somewhat young stay in this planet, like short stay in this planet. But, anyways, and that is when I was studying history, anytime I would open up a book and read about how this country started, it all talked about the original colonies, the European settlement, and this and that. And then when you think about it, when you study the history a little deeper, you realize that it was not just flowers, dandelions, peaceful settlements, and people just moved in from another land across the sea and they brought their stuff and they just said, okay, I'm gonna build up a house, create some kind of a hut or whatever the hell the homes looked like back then. And, like anyone who was around, they were all chill and peaceful about it. And that is, does that really alter your perception as a reader about what you interpret from what you read? Like, for example, if you hear the word settler, does it make you think any better about the particular group of people versus when you hear, um, like, when you hear an invasion, someone who's invading. To me, when I hear the word invader or an invasion of some sort, I usually associate that with violence. Like, oh, someone is coming over to invade this land. There's going to be a war to be fought if we want to stay here. Or because we govern this place, we don't want someone else taking over. So therefore, we're not going to call the people invading settlers because they're trying to take over. So we're going to say that those people are invading. So if your origin as a nation is that you invaded a place, why would you rename it a settlement? Is it to really brainwash the people and alter the perception of the reader? So that's the stuff that anytime someone speaks up about their thoughts and it goes against what we're supposed to value as a country, I don't get mad at that person because that person has a valid point. For me, if you tell me a story about people who settled, I'm going to be like, okay, they just came over to start a new life. And that is a relatively peaceful way, a peaceful impression that I gather from that term being used. But if you tell me, oh, this person's ancestors just decided to come over and they completely invaded the place, and, I'm already thinking invasion usually involves violence and forceful takeovers. So, why would our textbooks not call the original 13 colonies the invasion of the British in this land? Why do we not call it that? That's what I want to know. I wouldn't even be upset. It's like, okay, my ancestors fucked up, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, I'm upset because, it's messed up that you do that, especially to people who are here already and they're defenseless. But teach me the history for what it is. Call things for what it is. I'm so sick of the sugar coating just to make us look better or make us sound better. Like, no, either way, the way that civilizations have, like, survived and expanded into new territories, it's always involved a dark history. So let's not try to protect our minds from it. Just tell us stuff for how it really is. So anytime someone has a, let me not say the C word, but someone has a theory, thoughts that they had while reading something, I support that person. I give them my attention. I'm not saying that I always agree with whatever it is that they have to say, but I will respect whatever it is that they have to say because I have observed it. I have gone through it. I read textbooks. I actually did pay attention when I was in school. And that is something that I heard a lot. The European settlement, this and that. No, call those motherfuckers invaders. That's what they were. They took over and it was violent. Initially, there were some peaceful ways to go about it, but at some point it became violent. Why would we have had wars if it was not violent? Why are we told about specific wars that took place back then if we're supposed to be convinced that the settlement was a peaceful one? See what I'm saying? So, yeah, you guys, I really don't have anything to really like explore here, any specific dates or anything. I'm just really mentioning this in a general way from memories that I have being a student. But if you guys want to jump in and cite specific incidents, events, or mention them, feel free to do so. Let me know especially if you're an older person. Did you have textbooks like that, or your books? How did they tell history? Because for me, I find it more and more that I wasted so much time in school because I was exposed to a course of study that did not teach things the way that it's supposed to for me to truly grasp my concepts of history and whatnot. So I'm just curious to see if you guys noticed that, if you never even paid attention, if it never occurred to you, or if you don't think it's important. For me personally, I mean, because I know the truth, that history is messed up, then it doesn't really bother me. But it bothers me if I think about it critically from the point of view of why are you not being truthful about the way things are? And you are trying to seemingly sugarcoat a few things. So, my question really that I am trying to explore here is, do you guys think that's a big deal? Is that really part of the so called agenda that people claim that the higher ups have or whatever? Or are we full of shit? I just want to know your opinions on this one because I really have not officially made a topic exploring this thing. So now I'm going to read the comments and catch up with what y'all have to say. The musical Wicked has a good verse for this exact thing that I think sums up where I come from. We believe all sorts of things that aren't true. We call it history. What's your ethnic origin? You know what? What's the difference between ethnicity and race? I have never understood it. But if you're wondering what I am, black, white, some native, and American. A man's called a traitor or liberator, a rich man's a thief or philanthropist, to some a crusader, a ruthless invader. It's all in which label is able to persist. You know what? That's interesting. I'm so glad that someone put it out there like that. A liberator is the traitor. And now that you mention liberators, it seems to me like the people who have been accused of being like traitors or sell a country out, are they really that much of horrible people? Like when we think about what they were fighting for or advocating for, are they really the monster of the story? Because in some cases, now that I'm older, my perception just begs to differ a bit. Because when I was in school, it's like, okay, I associate a certain movement that was considered treason as, okay, that's a really bad thing, never do that, never do this. But when I think about it, if it weren't for those crazy people who we like considered criminals, some of the stuff that we do today that we enjoy, it would not have been possible. And if that stuff became legal, it's because clearly we must have been in the wrong back then to have to reconsider ourselves and reconsider our laws. So, see what I mean? So, are they really that terrible people? And the heroes in our history, are they really the heroes who we think that they are? Because it keeps looking more and more to me like, the crazy people are the people who we are glorifying. But anyways, like always, that's just my opinion. I guess keep in mind that I'm someone who's not into the celebrity worshiping. So Imagine me trying to worship people who died many centuries ago, and that the more I read up on them, the more I realize that, they had their messed up perceptions that would very much go against what I believe in now. So I cannot really treat them like my heroes. And let me share you a quick story of something that happened to me over the weekend, and that was I had a colleague who made a comment about being upset about how much attention Colin Kaepernick, Kaepernick. Anyways, that football guy who took an and everyone was mad at him because you're not respecting the flag and this and that. I'm not he's trying to bring attention to a matter that has been long forgotten and neglected, and I think it's valid. So when it comes to a song from ages ago, it's like, okay, cool, we can celebrate it because it's all about the so called bravery that our men had back then, and it allowed for the country to become what it is today. But what about the other part of it, which is, okay, there were people who really had to suffer under that regime, like, being a black person in this country was not a good thing. You had it difficult, you had it rough, you were not even considered a full person, you had no rights. And basically, by us celebrating that song and respecting that song, we are saying that the values from back then are a perfectly acceptable, positive thing that we should worship and get behind. And I'm like, no, it's okay to admit that back then things were fucked up, but we have looked back and reconsidered ourselves and been like, you know what? We had a very messed up mentality. We have moved on from that, but is it really worth it to rewrite a Star Spangled Banner? I mean, I want to say, yeah, it would be helpful because we should not continue to celebrate something that in reality it celebrated a completely different thing from what we think it does, because we're not really taking the time to explore history for what it really is. But at the same time, you cannot be a person on the other end of the spectrum and getting upset at a group of people who want for their voice to be heard because they feel like politics have forgotten about them. So no, I am not mad at this calling guy for doing what he does. And it also doesn't help that I'm someone who's not like, I don't want to say that I hate my country or I don't enjoy the United States. Like, there's a lot of great things going on in this country. And shoot, a lot of people come over here for a reason, right? But I'm just saying that when it comes to being patriotic and worshiping stuff to where I have to seize the day and go to church every Sunday and celebrate every holiday, it's like, no, that does not make me who I am. I have my own personal individual values that I have been able to establish and develop as I, you know, transit my life. Whatever course of life that I take, it helps me determine what is important for me and what isn't important for me. Valentine's Day is not important for me to demonstrate to my boyfriend that I love him. Christmas is not the date of the year that I need to demonstrate to my family that I think about them, and therefore I need to spend God knows how much money to show them that I care or that I value them. And going to church every Sunday doesn't mean that that's the way I prove that I believe in like the most high or a greater being. No, I have my own individual personal ways of doing that that makes it just as valid. But we are trying to somehow we're trying to bring all of us together into believing the same thing, and we forget that as people who are different, we will never be able to be on the same page about this, and that should be okay, that should be accepted and tolerated, because one of the values of this society is that apparently you can be whatever and whomever, but yet we're trying to instill these values generically. So isn't that hypocritical? Isn't that going against what you're claiming to be promoting? I don't know, you guys. Maybe I misinterpret what is supposed to be valuable around here, but I just know what works for me, and I would never try to impose my ways onto someone else unless they are having a hard time finding out who they are, what they want, Or if they wonder why I can be so chill and peaceful and they are stressed out little cookies, they may come over to me and be like, hey, yo, Zam, what is it that you do to where you can be pretty like okay regardless of what's going on in your life? And I'm like, well, this is what I do. I try to exercise every day no matter what. I try to eat the best that I can. I try to surround myself with positive influences. If I'm struggling with something, I reach out and I get good advice. I dismiss the advice that I think is not so good. I consider the advice that I think is good. Like, people need to accept that they have to put in some effort and not expect for people to just magically resolve their problems. You need to be able to take the hints, put them together, and make yourself a better person from that. But with the problems that I was personally experiencing, sure, I got advice here and there, but it was still up to me for me to resolve all those problems. But I feel like being a citizen of this country makes you think that the solution is just going to come knocking on your door, because we have become so spoiled and entitled that our personal problem solving skills, we just do not hone them anymore. And I think that is bad. But anyways, you guys, that's pretty much it on that note. I know that I kept rambling there, but just so you know. Let's see. Where the hell am I at? Um, Hello, Jordan. There are a precious few at ease with moral ambiguities, so we act as though they don't exist. Hey, Dan, good to see you. Sorry that I've been gone. Yes, people need to tell it like it is. They were both settler and invaders, depending on who you ask. Thing is, no one wants to admit. Life is complicated. History is written by the victors. Yeah, exactly. So when you know that there is so much deception going on, are you really that much of a terrible person for not taking everything for granted, for not taking everything like it's the word of God? Like, anytime someone tells me something, I go like, citation needed. And I hope that anytime I say something, that you guys take the time. If you're not very aware of something I'm talking about, I hope that you take the time to explore and see if what I'm saying is true or not. Because for all I know and for all I care, I could be saying a buttload of bullshit. But I don't do that because I don't want to be known for the person who feeds you crap. But at the same time, I'm not perfect. I'm sure that at some point I have made mistakes. Some people will catch it, some people will not. And I mean, that's fine. My capacity can only take me so far. And that's why we are a community. And we all work together to make the world go around. But I feel like people are becoming too comfortable with the information that they receive, and they expect for others to do the legwork. What happened to you individually being responsible about your education and your knowledge, and not resting on what other people tell you? That's one of the concerns that I have. It's like we wait for other people to put together a book or put together an article, a video, and that's the source of information that we absorb our knowledge from. But we don't try to back that up or corroborate it or prove it. So just remember that any source of information can have flaws and will more than likely have flaws, because we as humans, we are imperfect little creatures. So I'm just saying, just try to find as many sources as possible that back up a claim, because I find that a lot of people like to believe still that chocolate gives you acne, and I'm like, where the hell did you get that from? Like, for me, as much chocolate as I have consumed, I never had an acne problem. So clearly that is not true. So just to name a crazy example there, there are some myths out there, and it's difficult to tell what's true and what isn't. Like, I'm not trying to say that I'm the best at it, but if something just sounds weird, it probably isn't true. There are three sides to every story: their side, the other side, and the truth. Exactly. History has been rewritten to meet today's societal social agendas. Yeah, exactly. And I find it crazy that some people deny this. Some people refuse to admit and be convinced that this is actually something that's happening. And I'm like, why are you surprised? You know, you never question the origin of anything. You never question the origin of your food, your clothes, everything that you consume. Someone had to go out there and put this stuff together. Someone had to wake up at 5 a.m. one morning and get the ingredients ready so that you can show up at your store and eat the freaking sweets from the bakery section that you so much enjoy if you're one of those sugar consuming monsters out there. You know, I'm not one of them. But just so you know, you never stop to really think about how much work goes into the stuff that you enjoy. So, same thing with history and your education. There is a lot of work that goes into it to put a book together, but do you not ever think about the fact that the longer it's been since an event took place, the more likely it is that the story is going to get distorted. Like, that is pretty basic investigative work right there. But, anyways, I'm just saying, I'm very grateful for the history and information and access to things that we have. But with the digital age, it's very easy for you to get deceived with all the information that you can be bombarded with. But now that you know that stuff that we expose ourselves to is not always accurate, I want to say it's a good time to become responsible about what it is that you know and don't know. But anyways, that's just me. Again, I cannot sit here and preach that I'm perfect at it. I know I don't always have time to like confirm something that I read, but it's very easy to do. Fortunately, you have devices these days that you can just strike a few keys and you can spend a couple of minutes and be like, okay, there's more than one source for it. It checks out. You know, more than likely, it checks out. But anyways, where am I at? In school, the teachers don't teach everything. Black history is number one. They blocked everything. I'm really disappointed having raised 7 children and seen how history has been rewritten. Interesting. See, that's why I like to bring this up and I want to ask that question. Clearly, your experience with your education is significantly different from what your kids are learning. Like, I have mentioned before how my mother had some courses available to her that were not available to me that would be saving me a crap ton of money if I would have taken those classes. For instance, classes on how to fix your own damn clothes. Because nowadays, we are so spoiled by the fact that you can find stuff for so cheap. But when we think about the fact that if you repair something that you have, that's money that you don't have to spend, again, yeah, that's pretty beneficial. It adds up like crazy. But anyways, that's just a really weak example, but I like to keep it basic because you don't even need to get too complex to make a point. But anyways, just so you know, everyone is the hero in their own mind. God gave the Native Americans the USA country, but the media say so and called Christopher Columbus found America. Yeah, that is not even true. Like, America has been known forever, but because our value is valuing that European culture because those are our ancestors, of course, we want to praise and give credit to whatever the real fool's name is and be like, yeah, let's credit this guy because thanks to this guy, everything became possible. But we don't ever talk about how much of an asshole those guys actually were. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear about the ugly truth so that we don't make those mistakes. Because it seems to me like the way things are going, we are reverting in our progress. Like, we're going back to some stuff that we ain't supposed to be suffering from. But of course, no one wants to talk about it because we're afraid of upsetting people. Nowadays, people's feelings is more important than discussing matters that are important. And you cannot offend anybody because that is far worse than the actual, like, issues in society. Like, no, remember, you have to protect people's feelings. That's more important than anything. Whatever you do, do not offend anybody because if you offend something, you are the terrible person. You are the monster. You are the one who's wrong. You're the one who has to suffer the consequences. Like, no, you need to be made aware of this stuff because clearly you have a problem. But anyways, I'm glad that you guys seem to be pretty like, what can I say? Pretty down to earth. Like you keep it real, and that's why I enjoy having these conversations with y'all. But it's just crazy to me that there's people out there who try to deny this, who try to cover it up. Like, no, no, it's all right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. In regards to Colin Kaepernick, he had every right to protest. It makes him no less patriotic. Incompetence and allowing things to suck should not be rewarded with blind loyalty. Exactly. America's not perfect, but it's the greatest country on earth at this time. IDH. Too many crybabies, in my humble opinion. Nothing ever improves without first coming to terms with its faults. Protests like kneeling for the national anthem is one of the ways people let the powers that be known where they are failing. Hi, Ollie. I'm not sure what the convo was about with Colin, but he did and does have a right to protest. I don't think he got arrested. Yeah, nah, he didn't. Exactly, cite your personal research. I don't like Valentine's Day either, Zamri. It is such a manufactured way to pressure people to spend large amounts of money on shiny rocks or chocolate. The further away on the historical timeline you are, the more you need to cite your references and research. Facts often morph into myths. Yeah, exactly. Like all these urban legends that go around. It's like, does anyone ever take the time to validate them? And then when you find out the origin of those stories and you see how fake they are, you're even disappointed that you even gave them the slightest attention. But that should give you an idea of the big problem that we have on our hands now, which is anyone can pump information anywhere and it can spread really fast, but we do not have a way to truly stop it. And that is what people retain. People remember better the stuff that's shocking. So anybody who comes up with anything, that's what people remember. And then to erase that from people's minds, it's like even if you're exonerated from a crime or just found not guilty, you're still going to suffer the consequences in society for having been in the questioning seat in the never forgets. But the positive stuff, it's like customer service. If you have a really good experience somewhere, you may share it with one person, maybe two. But if you had a terrible experience, you're going to want to tell everybody that you just had the worst experience in the world. Because for some reason, that is just more intriguing. And you also personally want to get supported for it. Like, oh, it sucks that you have to go through that. Like, I feel like we're a society that needs to be babysat too much. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Nurturing is good, but at what point can you do something alone? How much can you handle independently? That's the question I have. I don't feel like I need to do that. I like to vent and express things, but it's like I do it just because I think it's interesting. It's not something that happens often, so I'll mention it, but I'm not really looking for the shock factor or for people to like be like, "Oh, Zam, I'm sorry that happened. Here you go. I'm gonna give you like I'm gonna buy lunch or something so that you can feel better." Like, no, I don't need that. I like to talk and I like to tell stories. So, but some people really want to go the extra mile to like bring someone down or something. Like, calm down. Calm down. But anyways, Christopher Columbus was the worst, and he committed genocide. Screw and his brother. True. Europeans invaded everywhere and their culture, and now people are complaining about people invading Europe. Yeah, it's like I called this time, like my story earlier about my colleague who was mad at Colin. I said, you know what? We are simply reaping what we sowed. So you cannot expect for this stuff to not backfire at you. You took stuff by force and you robbed people of their identities, their language, their culture, their customs, their values, their families, their children, everything. So, do you not think that at some point this is going to come back to bite you? So, like I'm not someone who likes to support violence at all, but when bad stuff happens, I'm like I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all because when you do stuff wrong, that stuff until justice is served or until people get what they lost back, this stuff never ends. So with Europe, I'm not trying to say that I'm happy if anything bad happens to them, but I'm like, if y'all had pretty a pretty dark past, then you can expect for bad things to happen back to you because someone out there is not going to let that go, you know. So I just think everybody should just mind their own business and just be like, okay, you know, just mind your business. And when it comes to your ambition, you need to have a limit because at some point you're going to be doing more damage than you can even understand. And that's when I think people really get upset, and that's when the tragedies really happen. So a lot of this stuff I think is preventable, but these people do not think like us. For us, it's easy to think about because we don't understand what it's like to be having a mind of wanting to con- conquer fuck everything, you know. So for me, it's like I don't care. I don't aspire for that. But clearly, to someone out there, it's important to be in that position of power and to see it ever increasing. But for me, it's like I don't understand that. I just cannot conceive it. I'm an average person with just average goals, I guess. But yeah, when I hear terrible stories of stuff happening in places that are supposed to be developed and peaceful, it's like, I'm sorry, it had to happen because the way that you got into the position that you are, it happened through lies, deception, violence, theft, and many other things that I do not wish to mention. So, do you not think that at some point you have to, pay for that? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's see. Where am I at? Sometimes people don't like to hear the truth. Oh yeah, nobody likes to hear the truth. Your hair is longer. Oh yes, it's like I could pretty much wrap another person around my hair. I'll be trimming it soon. That is what's wrong. People become offended at everything nowadays. They rewrite things based on opinions that support their feelings. Oh my god. Yes. Especially social websites where they claim that they are teaching you how to be a better human, how to be considerate to. This is my favorite part, hypersensitive people. I'm not saying that these people are fake. I'm not saying these people are weak or something, but I'm like, by the definition of hypersensitive people, I can be a hypersensitive person. Y'all can be a hypersensitive person. Like, oh, if you're in a loud environment where there's loud music and loud everything, then you're a hypersensitive person. And if you're someone who you look at a room and people's moods and emotions rub off on you, you're a hypersensitive person. I'm like, everyone has their own superpower in their own little way. It doesn't mean that I have to check off on all of that to be considered someone who's hypersensitive. Someone is going to be more sensitive about certain things than other people. But what sickens me about the modern world, modern days, and anytime we have conversations like this, is that it seems that we're making people's feelings be what govern the world. No, there needs to be rules, there need to be regulations. You need to be checked on that stuff because we're always I feel like we're always setting the bar lower and lower and lower to accommodate for people who are not in that shape to deal with the world as it evolves. Is it our responsibility to accommodate your weak ass, your slow ass, to keep up with the rest of us? See what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be mean, but imagine a world without any laws, without any sense of honor or respect. Let's pretend that we're all just wild ass animals. If you're an animal who is just mentally, emotionally, physically injured, are you at an advantage at surviving from getting mauled by whatever is out there that is above you? in that chain, in the food chain, do you think a grizzly bear is going to look at you and be like, you know what, you wee little human, you are not a very fast runner, you are not very big, you do not have claws, your back is turned, let's have some honor in our little brawl. I'm going to let you go because clearly I'm a fat ass bear and I have claws and I can move faster than you. And I'm heavy. I will suffocate you. I can pin you down. But because you are not my height, my weight, you don't have your nails as long as mine, it would not be a fair battle right now. It would not be just. It would not be the right thing to do. It would not be an honorable battle. Let's put this altercation off, all right, tiny little human? Just go away. Go away, train. Be better. I'll wait for you until you get in the proper shape or you can develop the proper tool to survive a brawl with me. No, that motherfucker's going to maul you there and savor you every single inch. Because that's the way things are. We are wild creatures, wild animals. We are trying to survive. So, to survive, you're going to do messed up and fucked up things. But if you're going to be sensitive about that, I'm sorry, but I guess the world is not the right place for you because this shit is not going to get better. Like my favorite thing that I have ever heard that I have mentioned before is stuff will get worse before it gets better. The sooner you accept that, the better your life will become. But again, I'm just sick that in modern days it seems to me that people who are competitive are being penalized because you have to be considerate of those who are so fragile. And if you ask me, fragility is a weakness. So why do I have to like bend myself for that? Why do I have to be the one setting my standards a little lower? See what I mean? So if I'm in the wrong anywhere, I love it. Like challenge me so that I can become a better person, so that I can grow. But it's just crazy. It's just crazy to me that I find that more that we're being guided on feelings and I'm like, no, leave that for fiction, leave that for romantic people, leave that for the movies and junk. But in real life, sure, you can use your feelings as a drive, as a motivation, like say, I have children, I want for them to live a better life, so therefore I'm going to work overtime plus so that I can have all this extra money and give them a more comfortable life. You know, that's reasonable. Your love for your children is driving you. But to absolutely rely on emotion for everything that you do, I think that is a little insane. You need to be able to control your emotions to a certain extent. Because when you are driven by emotions, you can make stupid things. You can commit stupid mistakes, make stupid decisions, and we are absolutely right at holding you accountable for it. So, what is wrong with that? Why is this conversation so difficult to have? You know, like, why are there people out there who really don't like to hear this or be involved in this type of discussion? And then they treat you like you're the one who needs to, like, I don't know, soften more or be nicer to people. No, I'm being nice. I can be nice and sweet and funny and loving, but I you cannot expect for me to become to give you the amount of nurturing that maybe you need. Like, no, that's something that your parents were supposed to have done. If you're an adult, I'm going to treat you like what you are, an adult. I expect you to be at a certain level by a certain age. And I know that if some of you guys were to hang out with me, there is stuff that I am going to be extremely behind on that you guys are uber advanced on. Sure, that's when I'll humiliate myself and be like, "Yao, please help me because I am clueless and I am at a terrible disadvantage." But, you know, I accept the fault. It's not the society's fault that I am ignorant or that I have a lot to catch up on. I'm just not at the same capacity that you guys are at. And that's fine because we're different. See what I mean? So, anyways, I just went off into a little rant there. That's nothing new, I'm just so sick of the emotional talk. Like, no, let's talk about real things and real problems and address them as such. Let's see. Where am I at? Two people hate the real truth, the way people are so scared. Remember the game Telephone? One person tells another a fact, and then you see how the story changes after you whisper it from one person to the next, and 20 people down the line, facts become fiction. Yeah, we did that in my psychology class, actually. We went by rows based on, the order in which you were said it, and we all used the alphabet. And at some point, you had to recite the story again, and nobody, absolutely nobody, could remember how to tell the story right. Distortions are a real thing. We need to acknowledge it as opposed to protecting it. That's the problem I'm having. True. Do good to others, blessings come back. Do evil to others, and bad things come back to you too. I love when Europeans tell me go back to Africa. I just say, then tell Europeans to leave Africa. Then they tend to shut up after that. You know what? I have never had that conversation before. Interesting. But now that I think about it, true. Amen. People need to focus on their own lives. Super hair. Watching you from Qatar. I love your views. You are too young to be too wise, but this is good though. Well, I appreciate that. That you already hold me to such a high esteem. I don't think that I'm really all that. Like, there's a lot of things that I am sure that if you were to spend enough time with me, I am going to drive you up a wall for. But yeah, I'm glad that at least you understand my points. I don't expect for everybody to agree, but at least understand that everyone's points are valid. Even the points that I consider that I can never get behind, I'll still respect them and I'm still grateful to have heard them. But for you to attempt to persuade me to change my ways, it's like, no, I'm pretty sure that the person who I have become by now is what's going to stick to me for a little while. So, unless it's going to impact my life to make it positive and I cannot achieve it in any other way, there is just no way that I'm going to change my ways. Because, again, I feel fine. I feel happy. I feel good being this way. But, anyways, not need to ramble on that. And yeah, guys, I'm feeling a whole lot better. My voice seemed to threaten to leave last night, or better yet, this morning, but it was just kidding. Guerrilla Legends is hypersensitive. Back in the day, in the 90s, 2000s, and 70s, you can say anything they want in music and TV or radio. Nowadays, people want to control what everyone is saying. How am I hypersensitive? By the way, you were adopted and your mom is a lesbian. Roasted. Uh, the Bible is the law, but people are twisting their own laws. Point proven. Thank you. You have no point. Then you lack comprehension skills. Did I miss something? I hope that you guys are really not having an altercation in the comment section, because this is supposed to not really be a harmful place. The fact that you called me hypersensitive for a funny comeback to someone saying some racist stuff to me proves you are a hypocrite. Seriously, what did I miss? I'm not piecing it together. Maybe it's because as I go through the comments, I give a response. You are the one crying to me. Look in the mirror and point to yourself next time when you call someone hypersensitive. Triggered. Real talk is a lost art in today's society. It's very sad and very frustrating. And Jimmy, now that you say that, hello. And second of all, I'm just so worried about when the folks who are old pass on. Eventually, we are going to be the ones who are going to be the aged generation, the wise generation. What do we have to offer? Like, what are we obtaining right now, knowledge wise, that's going to be considered uber valuable in the future? Stuff that is old, because now we are relying so heavily on automation and you being able to replace things as opposed to repair them. So, what are we passing down? What is our legacy going to be? I am so scared to be part of the elders in the future generation, because it's like the elders who are supposed to be wise along with me, or hopefully I am going to be wise enough as an elder, because I could end up being the dumb old person, let's face it, I'm not perfect. But it's like I'm supposed to be influential in society. But my peers have a specific behavior now that they're trying to push. And when I think about history, I'm like, I don't think that the stuff that we enjoy now would have been possible if we all had feelings that are so fragile like what we have presently. I'm not saying that in the past fragility did not exist, sensitivity did not exist, or anything like that, but people's disciplines were undeniably better. And now we let go of so many things. It's like we're giving too many protections and we're afraid of discomfort. We're afraid of challenges and we're trying to find ways to accommodate for that. Like sometimes I have people tell me, "Oh, you have to go and work at what time? 6 a.m., 6:30? Oh, that's crazy, this and that." And I'm like, my grandfather used to get up in the morning at 4:30 to take care of his field with a ton of crazy animals that at any time one could kick him and kill him. But do you think that old guy was afraid? No, he did that forever. So I'm just saying, if everyone had that same fear and we were all seeking this crazy protection, what would get done out there? Someone has to dare to face peril and come out either victorious or dead, but at least we learned the lesson of, hey, don't touch electricity, it'll cook you, you know. But now we're just so afraid of discovering things. We're all about protecting. Like, it's okay, let people be crazy and explore and venture as long as they're not doing harm unto others, you know. But it's just crazy that we're trying to live in a bubble, protective bubble. That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, no, someone needs to be allowed to go out there and be crazy. Let's see. Okay. So then what I said makes sense to me. Hypersensitive. Have a great. Da, 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 da. Okay. I hope that you guys have come into peaceful terms because I'm going to skip over the conversation between Ruda and that other person. What's her name? Shadylay? 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 In other words, what you're saying is that we shouldn't be protected from our own history, real history, whatever that history actually is. Kind of a side rant from yours truly. Oh, yay, excellent. You said in one little comment, one little bubble of conversation, what it took me a whole, what, 10 minutes of ranting? I'm so bad at this. But, anyways. Let's see. True people's worst nightmares is being real. Your grandfather is so cool. What he did. Keep to the facts and use good reasoning. Question everything and protect your freedom with your life. Be careful about blind trust as you move forward. Oh, absolutely. That is actually one of the things that tends to make me anxious. It's like when someone comes over to me and they're like, hey, I got this for you, I can offer you this, or I believe that you can try this and that. It's like, I want to trust you. You're a person who appears to have wisdom, but at the same time, you just cannot trust anyone or everybody. And not everyone has good intentions. So somehow you have to develop your skill to be able to sniff out people who have good intentions versus people who simply do not. But it's okay. I mean, life is all about experience. Experience makes you better. And what's a little bit of life without a little bit of, what is it, messes going on? You know, challenges make you better. Hang on to your courage, and it's okay to be a maverick. And yes, I only trust one person. Let's see, if I were to enumerate the individuals whom I trust, who would they be? See, when it comes to me trusting people, I would consider myself pretty average because I'm pretty sure everyone, including you guys, you probably are someone who trusts by category. You may have a coworker whom you trust when it comes to the integrity of your job, but when it comes to personal information, you probably wouldn't tell them stuff that's going on in your personal life, or politically, you may not engage in a conversation with them. And then there's the person who you go to and you can be upset about your home life, upset about your relationship, upset about what someone said about your face or something, and then you make comedy out of it, or they tell you, just ignore that person, you're super pretty. You should never let what other people tell you affect you, da 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 da. You have that person who you trust when it comes to boosting your self esteem. And then you have that one person who you would consider maybe your soulmate or best friend or something. Could be a partner, could be just a friend from a long time ago, but you feel like you can trust them with a little bit of everything. And it's like you almost have intimacy with this person, but it doesn't have to be a relationship type of intimacy. So there's other people who you can trust for family matters, people who you can trust for legal or financial matters, stuff like that. So maybe you have many trusted people, but they specialize in an area for you to trust them with something. It's not like you have four individuals who you can trust them with absolutely everything pertaining to you. Like for me personally, there's only one and a half people who I can think of who I trust with absolutely everything. And I say one and a half because this person who I'm counting as a half, it's like I would not tell her absolutely everything that's going on in my life. I do not tell this person everything that goes in my life, even though I know that I can tell them. But there's still that little part of me that maybe they failed me before, so therefore I can never trust them fully, or but I can trust them, but not as much as I used to. So anything can happen. But anyways, when it comes to trust, it's like whatever it is that you earn, that is the trust that I'll give you. And I'm perfectly happy and satisfied with that. I don't need a lot. I don't ambition like that. Let's see. True Zamri, I will put it like this. I only trust one person with all my personal info. If I die and he will be the one out of two people I would take a bullet for in a heartbeat. The second person I would take a bullet for, I don't trust though. Yeah, you see, it's crazy. There are specifications that must be met for us to consider someone a trusted person. And that's fine, because unfortunately, not everyone is going to be good at everything that you need them to be good at to be deemed trustworthy. That's fine. Like, I know that I cannot be trusted with everything. Like, my pet is alive probably because of mom. So clearly, I cannot be trusted with creating a routine of being in charge of an entity that's separate from me. That's fine. Like I'm not meant to be good at everything, especially not right now. But I know that's a petty example, but just to let you know that there's stuff that is basic and simple and easy, but I still suck at it. But I'm not upset. It's like, okay, I'm just not good at remembering to do things that are outside of my routine. But I mean, at least I accept that I have the flaw as opposed to trying to justify it. I Nothing sickens me more than people who try to justify their weaknesses. No, just own it, bruh. Or sis. It's alright. We all mess up. I think it's because people care too much about your standing with others. Like, am I leaving a good impression? What opinion does this person have of me? And it really matters to me what other people think. Like, no, let go of that mess. And my favorite thing is that the very people who say they don't care about what others say are the ones who are concerned about what other people are saying. Even though they just got through saying that they don't care what other people's perception of them is. It's like, for you to truly not care about what others think of you, you let your actions speak. But I'm always suspicious of someone who talks a little too much. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, it's like, thank God I have this channel because even if I didn't have it, I feel like I would be a mommy. I would just tell everything to my journal and I wouldn't just talk because I don't like to talk emptily, even though I know that I say stuff with substance. But I would absolutely hate to go back to a conversation and be like, what was wrong with me? Why was I doing that? Why was I trying to impress this person? But that used to be more when I had my self esteem issues going on majorly. But now it's like, I'm not perfect, but I am extremely happy with the way I am now. Like, there's no way I would have said this about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. but I'm very grateful for experiences and aging, especially aging. It's like you need to understand that you will not be mighty forever. So while you're on your prime, enjoy it, but when it's gone, let the new generation take over. It's okay, you know? But I had a conversation with a colleague about this precisely yesterday, and it inspired me so much. So I'm going to see if he would be interested in sitting with me, and we'll discuss what we talked about yesterday because I think it was super interesting. So I'll have that pending, just like the many other things that I have not forgotten about that I want to do in here, which involve other people. But let's see. It is important for people to be loyal. Yep. I feel like a lot of people would struggle defining loyalty. I have realized that I am a love me or hate me type of person. I was born in the 80s, so I tend to speak with the real no filter. I don't care about this whole hippie love crap. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a trend. You just know that it's become a trend. I love it. It's like everyone sounds the same, everyone walks the same, everyone wears the same. Everyone dyes their hair color in some crazy way, or they dye their hair in a crazy way. They all use the same kind of products. They all eat the same food. It's like it's a trend. It's a lifestyle. But you're trying to say that it's not. Why? But anyways. All right, guys, I am going to conclude my rambling here. It's already been an hour and I'm sick, and on top of being sick, I'm starting to get sick of hearing myself because I'm just starting to rant a little too much, and I'm trying to calm down from that. It's not that it upsets me, but it's like, ugh, who wants to come home and listen to someone just rant and vent, right? I know I don't want that. So I don't want to be that person in your life. But anyways, guys, hopefully you see what I am trying to say, and I made my point across earlier with the settlers versus invaders stuff, and then we got sidetracked, but I feel like that sidetrack was still relevant because we're in modern times, and we pretty much can piece together how the masses are being influenced, and I think it's crazy. It needs to be talked more about, but anyways, I think we'll get there when we get there. I am the type of dude to order vegan food and ask for bacon on it. Or yeah, can I please have a apple pie without apple? Yeah, that would be crazy. But anyways, pretty redundant. I'm glad I have a friend like Zamri. Yay. I'm glad that you enjoy my presence. All right, guys. I'm going to try to be here tomorrow, but it may not be possible because my schedule is pretty tight. Even though my day is off, I just have a lot of crazy things to do. But anyways, I'll try to be here. Conclude my ranting. The more the beauty, the more the rant. I am more like, can I get a veggie burger with bacon? You know what? We should try that. But I'm not going to make a video about it. Veggie burgers are. My experiences with veggie burgers have been pretty bad, actually. Bye, Zamri. Just take your time. We understand.